Haven't been here for a month and a half. Forget some of the details. Whoops. There. Thanks, Paul. In accordance with sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. Before I continue with my opening remarks, I'll just take a moment to introduce some of the people in the front here, our panel. On my far left, Ms. Natalia Popovic. On my near left, Mr. Dominic Gully. On my near right, Ms. Sophia Ruddick. And on my far right, Mr. Stan Komorek. We also have at the far left end of this desk our Deputy Secretary Treasurer, Barbara Bartosik. And we have support staff at the far right end of this desk and in the, I think we derogatorily call it the pit in front of me. 4 very capable folks out here. And I'm Donald Taylor, and I'm panel chair. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Committee of Adjustment public hearings are now conducted in a hybrid in-person and virtual format. Some applicants and participants will make their submissions in person, and others will participate virtually by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform. The meetings are also streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel, and anyone wishing to view the hearing may watch on YouTube. Those who want to participate virtually and have registered in advance will be connecting with their computer, tablet, smartphone, or telephone, and have the option of participating via video or audio only. All virtual participants will automatically be muted on entry. When your item is called, you will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. We ask that you also mute your devices until you are called on to speak. Those participating by video appearance will be temporarily upgraded to panelist when your item is being held. During this time, your camera will be enabled. You will only be visible during your 5-minute allotted speaking time. At all other times, your video will be disabled and you will be reinstated as an attendee. For both in-person and virtual participants, Committee of Adjustment staff will share presentations submitted in accordance with the written submission deadline. Those participating through WebEx are not allowed to use share screen or any other panelist controls during a video appearance. The host will remove you from the panelist role if you fail to respect this instruction. People attending in person today who want to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must fill out a decision request card, and those participating virtually need to submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address because the Committee of Adjustment and the Toronto Local Appeal Body, TLAB, will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, you may be able to appeal the decision to the Toronto Local Appeal Body, or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal, OLT. However, the provincial government amended the Planning Act and generally removed rights of third parties to appeal Committee of Adjustment decisions. Only the applicant, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, specified persons and public bodies, as those terms are defined in the Planning Act, are permitted to appeal decisions of the Committee of Adjustment. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant may proceed with their presentation if desired. When the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you are reaching the 5 minutes. Any presentation or other materials you wish to submit to the committee must have been emailed in advance of this hearing. Staff and committee members cannot accept materials at the hearing. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee on the application. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantially revised to ensure the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes. Then, individuals either in support or opposed to the application will be invited to speak. Generally, we first call on speakers in the hearing room and then those participating through WebEx. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant agent has an opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion. The application will then be taken into committee for a decision. Now, before hearing the first item, I will ask for confirmation of the minutes of the last meeting, which was held on October the 10th. Could we have a motion to adopt those minutes?
Mr. Chair, I'll move a motion to adopt.
Thank you, Mr. Komorek, and a seconder.
I will second that, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Popovic, thank you. All in favor? Okay, the minutes of the meeting held on October the 10th have been adopted. I would now ask first of the panel, are there any declarations of interest for items in this morning time slot? None? Staff, same question. Any declarations of interest for the morning agenda? No. Okay, thank you. Ms. Deputy Secretary Treasurer, have you received any items for request for deferral from this morning's agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chair, items 5 and 8 for the morning. If first we could just adopt the 2025 hearing schedule.
Oh, yes, okay. We've all received the 2025 draft committee schedule proposed by the Deputy Secretary Treasurer. I would ask for a motion to adopt that list of dates.
I so move.
Ms. Reddick, thank you. A seconder?
I will second that, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Popovic, thank you very much. All in favor?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the dates for our 2025 committee schedule have been adopted. We'll go back to those two deferral requests, but firstly, Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, are there any files to be closed today or this morning?
None today, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think that's it. So we can move to the deferrals. First item being number 5. Is Mr. Dunlop here or online, the agent?
Yeah, Mr. Dunlop is on the line. We weren't able to sound check them, but hopefully it's working.
Oh, good. Hello, Mr. Dunlop.
Good morning.
I'm looking at your October 8th email, but just for the record, if you could just confirm your reason for requesting deferral today?
Yes. So there was an error in the zoning notice that was submitted. We had 2 of them, and we had submitted the incorrect one. I think there was the May 8th zoning notice that should have been submitted, and it was the zoning notice previous to that that was. So we've since rectified that and have sent that in, but unfortunately we weren't able to get that out to the neighbors in time. So we've requested the deferral.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone in the hearing room this morning that came to speak about item number 5? 12 Smith Crescent? No. Anyone online? Okay, so let's go into committee for a decision then on the request for a deferral.
Chair, I'm going to move that the application to defer 12 Smith Crescent be allowed in order for the applicant to clearly identify variances that are required.
Thank you, Mr. Gully. Is there a seconder for Mr. Gully's motion?
I will second that.
Ms. Popovic, thank you very much. All in favor? Okay, the motion to defer has been approved unanimously. Thank you. So we can now move on to the next and final item for deferral this morning, item 8, 11 Birchview Boulevard.
Mr. Chair, the agent for item 8 did not register prior to the hearing. We have emailed them. They are still not on the line. We do require applicants to attend the hearing even if they're requesting a deferral, just because the deferral reasons might be more than what they initially had requested, but Marianne is no longer, or not on the line. So I don't know how you want to proceed.
Well, could you make some attempts periodically for the duration of the morning, and we'll see if we can.
Sure. Yeah. Camilla's already sent an email. So I guess we can keep trying.
Okay, let's do that then. We'll just park it for a while, and hopefully she'll show up this morning at some point. And you can give me the hairy eyeball.
Yeah. When she gets on the line, I'll let you know.
Perfect. Okay, then let's go back to the beginning of the regular agenda then. Item 1, 936 Scarlett Road. I'll just do a quick summary here. The purpose of this application is to construct a 2-story rear addition. There are 2 variances. We have no agency comments. Does anyone in the hearing room come to speak to item 1, 936 Scarlett Road? No? And
No one registered, no one on the line.
No one online. Okay. And is Mr. Rajgor is the agent, I believe. Mr. Rajgor?
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Chair. This is
good morning.
Rajgor
Just
from
give me a
the
moment. I just
MITCHAM.
want to check in with my panel colleagues here. I
Yes.
sort of look at this as being quite simple and straightforward. I'm suggesting we don't need a presentation. Is there agreement on
Yep.
that? Okay, so Mr. Rajgor, if you're agreeable, you can certainly speak if you wish, but may I suggest to you as an alternative that you don't make a presentation. It's a very simple application. And perhaps leave it open to potentially addressing some questions if the panel has any. Would you be okay with that approach?
Yes.
Okay, terrific.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, then, fine. Thank you. Then let's go, any questions of Mr. Rajgor before we go into committee? Okay, then let's go into committee and consider a motion.
Chair, what we have before us today is a proposal to construct a 2-story rear addition. 2 variances are being requested, a variance with respect to FSI, variance with respect to building length. Both variances being requested are minor, they're appropriate. Move approval with no conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Gully. Is there a seconder for Mr. Gully's motion?
I'll second that.
Mr. Komoric, thank you very much. All in favor? That application is approved unanimously. Thank you. I'm sorry? I did that, didn't I? For number 1? I thought so. 2 variances. Anyway. Okay. Item 2, 6 NAMCO Road. Purpose of the application is to permit 13 outdoor parking spaces for vehicle display related to the existing vehicle sales establishment. There is one variance. We have a Metrolinx advisory. We have community planning conditions, including a 5-year term for this request if it's granted. And I would note that this proposal to permit these outdoor parking spaces, as requested today, was approved on May 9th, 2019 for 5 years. Do we have Miriam Azimi in the room or online?
Yes. Good morning. This is Miriam speaking from Permit First.
Hi. Yeah, I think
Hello.
pretty easy to understand what's going on here, but if you just take a couple of minutes to tell us why you're here.
Correct. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Chair. Well, the whole purpose of this application has been exactly what was proposed and approved in 2019. We basically would like to seek approval for 13 parking spots for the vehicle display. As you can see, the purpose of this application is to permit the owner to display, to increase the basically car display. Thankfully, the planning department is supporting us with conditions. The number of there's 4 conditions that they've provided, which we would be more than happy to abide by. There was only one condition that I was wondering if we could seek approval for a longer period of renewal of this basically committee approval. So the previous one was for a term of 5 years that we had to return back and apply again. The homeowner, the property owner has been basically operating there more than 10 years. And the nature of this space is it's not going to change. It's always going to be the same. And they were wondering if we could seek approval for a 10-year period or somehow lengthening the basically the validity of this committee's approval.
Okay, I'll just quickly comment on that. We have a rule, as I articulated in my opening remarks, that we don't entertain changes at this hearing. We deal with what's before us. The other related concern is this report from the Community Planning Department is part of the Application Information Center, and the public.
Okay.
The public would have the view right now that what's being considered is a 5-year term. But that being said, I don't make decisions. That's just some context that the panel will have to consider going forward. So is there anything else, ma'am?
No, at the end of the day, we're just seeking approval for basically, we would like you to grant approval for the number of parkings that we've requested. This is just me trying to shoot my shot and see if there is any chance that we could lengthen it. But if the committee is not willing to consider it, then I won't bring it up.
We'll discuss that in due course.
Okay.
Your request noted. Is there anyone in the hearing room that came to speak about 6 NAMCO Road? Is there anyone online?
No one on the line, Mr. Chair.
Okay, are there any other questions, panel, for Ms. Azimi before we go into committee?
I have a question, Mr. Chair, if I
Yeah.
may. Just wanted to ask the applicant whether she's okay with the other 3 conditions. Specifically, one of them addresses no unplated cars to be parked that wasn't a condition previously, and I just wonder if that's going to be a hardship, given that you're trying to sell new vehicles which won't have plates on them.
Well, that has been major part of our discussions because, yeah, when they are bringing cars for repair or you know how the sales process works. For a temporary basis, they have to leave cars without plates on. So that is something that's very challenging for the
I thought
business
that,
owner.
yeah, I thought that would be an onerous thing for you. So I'm surprised you're not asking us to amend that condition.
Yeah, but a majority of the difficulty comes with item number 4, where the property owner has to spend
Time
a
and
large
money in
amount of
5
money.
years, understood. But
Exactly, every 5 years. So my focus is put into, because I really don't, I want to be reasonable with everybody, and I want to put focus on what's very important. But yes, that item is also causing a lot of difficulties and hardship for the business owner.
yeah, I mean, we can, obviously you don't want to be displaying derelict vehicles, but it's just with regards to the plated or unplated. Okay.
Absolutely. 100% agree. If there is any room to remove that item, I would be more than happy. They've been in business for so long and they're very respected in the area. There has never been a complaint against them. So that shows that they are abiding by the rules. But if we could remove a couple of items that make it a lot easier for them to continue their business, that would be appreciated.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Just a point of correction.
Thank
So
you.
the 2019 conditions actually included the unplated, so it's the same 4 conditions that's being repeated now.
Yes.
Any other questions for me?
Yes, exact same.
So they were able to comply with the issue of plating the vehicles, I guess, for the last 5 years, or no one's bothered to check. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
Ms. Popovic?
Thank you. I have a comment, Mr. Chair, possibly a question for the applicant. I just want to echo the comments that have been made. We have to deal with what's in front of us today. If there's a request or consideration for a longer period of time, then in fairness, I think the planning department has to have a chance to review that and comment. In terms of the other possible changes, that might be a discussion that you, your client, and the department could have together going forward. But as of today's date, in my view, we have to deal with what's in front of us.
Okay, thank you. Last call for questions.
So, Chair, I just wanted to make a couple of comments as well. I believe this operation has been ongoing. I don't, from my knowledge, know of any objections or complaints that have been raised with respect to the operation. I don't expect that things will change in the next 5 years with respect to the usage. And I believe it's appropriate because it is temporary. I do hear what the applicant is asking with respect to lengthening the term. I think many committees have extended periods, not in excess, but close to what planning has recommended. I'd like to suggest that maybe the panel will consider the possibility of assisting the applicant and the business by giving them a 7-year term.
Okay, well, why don't we go into committee right now then, and we can kick things off with a discussion, Mr. Gully, on your point. So if you were to make a motion, it would be to grant a term of 7 years.
I think giving an extra 2 years would assist from a business point of view. I don't think it'll have a detrimental effect. It hasn't had a detrimental effect to this point. Planning is very comfortable in giving them 5. I believe a couple more years is not going to make that much difference. Looking at it particularly from the fact that the land use is not going to change. When it will change, of course, the reason for the term is because it is a temporary use. And I believe that adding two years does make it a little bit more amenable for business practice.
Okay, any discourse with Mr. Gully? Panel?
I would echo Mr. Gully's comments. I have no problem with that.
Okay. Well, I think we're ready to consider a motion then. Mr. Gully or Mr. Komorek?
So Chairman, on basis of our discussion, I'd like to move that the application be approved with all conditions of planning, but that the 5-year be changed to 7. Transportation services has no issues with respect to the operation. Planning has no issue with respect to the temporary use. They did comment on the term, but I believe a 7-year term will not make that much difference. So move approval with the conditions of planning, with a change for item number 4, I believe, from 5 years to 7 years.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Gully. Is there a seconder for Mr. Gully's motion?
I'll gladly second that.
Thank you, Mr. Komorek. All in favor? Opposed? No. Okay, that's unanimously approved then. And you have a 7-year term, Ms. Azimi. You find that disappointing, I guess?
Oh, no, I was
you
just
knew?
muted.
Okay. I was just gonna
I
do a
really
counter motion to make
appreciate
it 3 years. I'm glad you spoke up. Okay.
Yeah, I really appreciate
Alrighty.
it. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're very welcome. Okay.
Fantastic.
So
Have a great day.
Yep. Just check in on item 8, Adam, quickly.
So item 8, the agent is still not here. We do have a slight change for item 3. So the agent who did not register but is on your list was Kevin Mendonça.
Yes.
But it is no longer Kevin. It will now be Amrit Jailal, who
How do you
is
spell the last name?
Jailall.
Jael.
Yeah, Jailal. And we have the registered neighbor in person.
Mr. Martinez is in the room, I understand.
Correct.
Could you identify yourself? Thank you. Okay. This is pretty straightforward, but I guess in view of the fact that we do have a person that wishes to speak about it, we should invite. Is it Mr. JL?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Mr. JL? Mr. JL, are you available to speak?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, in light of the fact that we have opposition to your application, I think it's in order for you to make a presentation to explain and justify your request of the to the committee.
Yes,
Can you
this
please
is
proceed?
Jailal Amrit.
Can you please proceed with a brief presentation, sir?
Yes, I'm asking, good morning to you all. I'm asking for a 4% increase on the garage size from what we have existing or had existing because of the type of vehicle I have now and the high level of theft in the area of the vehicles and them. So I would like to ask permission for the increase of the 4% so I can secure my vehicle at night.
Okay, thank you. Panel, any questions for Mr. Jal before we proceed? No? Okay.
Sorry. Mr. Jailal, if you can just email the general mailbox your email address just so we have your contact information so we can send you a copy of the decision if one is made today.
Okay, thank you. I will do that as soon as we finish here.
No problem. Thank you.
If you stand by and listen to the remarks that you're about to hear, sir, from Mr. Martinez. And just while Mr. Martinez is making his way up to the front, I didn't summarize this application. It's to construct a detached garage in the rear yard. And as was explained, it requires an increase in coverage from the 30% permitted to 34.34%, which is about 13 meters squared. So, Mr. Martinez, if you could just repeat your name, give us your address, and speak to us.
Yeah, so my name is Jeffrey Alvarez Martinez. It's on? Yeah. So my name is Jeffrey Alvarez Martinez. My address is 72 WHEATSHEAF Crescent, and I'm here to oppose the garage from 74 WHEATSHEAF. Shall I continue? Yeah. So I'm here to oppose because my neighbor, we had a house fire. It started on his side, and we're trying to avoid any future problems that may arise. It was a second alarm blaze, sorry. We were displaced for 17 months, and we're trying to avoid any future complications. So it seemed like he was running some kind of illegal business before, and we don't know if it's actually going to be used as a garage or some kind of rental unit in the future, and it would be best if something like that isn't built. It affected not just my family, but everybody else around. I'm representing not just my family, but also people in my neighborhood.
Are you concerned about the size of the garage?
Yes, the size and anything else that might come up with it.
Because the only matter before us is the coverage or the size of the buildings on the lot.
Right.
That's all we have before us.
Okay.
No other issues.
Right.
So I just wanted to confirm that you are concerned with the variance that's been requested.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anyone else in the room that came here to speak about this application? And no one online? Okay, if you could just take a seat for a moment. And Mr. Jalal, if you could rebut what you've just heard from Mr. Martinez.
Yes, I heard. Well, as the only difference is that the 4% increase, and that would be still far away from his fence, which is a fence showing on the right side of the picture. And unfortunately, we had a fire 2 years ago, roughly, and both unit was damaged badly. Mine was completely inside, and it was a fire of unknown origin that happened outside, nothing to do with the garage or anything like that. So it was an unfortunate occurrence, but that is why I take all the necessary procedures in getting the garage done, complying with all the bylaws governing that. So the 4% increase, I don't think that will prevent or cause a fire or cause any kind of disturbance to any one of my neighbors.
Okay, thank you. Panel, any questions for Mr. Jalal?
Chair, I had a couple of questions. I understand that the variance you're requesting is nominal, the coverage going from 30% to 34%. But you do understand the purpose of a garage is to store vehicles and also storage related to vehicles. You have an overhead door you're proposing. Is it for a single car or a double car? Or
a single car.
It'll be single. And then you also have
yes.
a person door on the north side, a door.
Yes. One door.
One door. And you understand
yes.
that no business activity can be conducted within that garage.
It's only for my garage and personal use.
Personal use being storage or?
It's storage and, cleaning and my car and things, storage. That's all.
And you confirm for us that there's no business activities going on in the garage, correct? Can you confirm
correct.
That for the record?
I can confirm that, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for the agent? Okay, there being none, let's go into committee for a decision.
I just wanted to make a comment. I'm sorry, I'm maybe talking a little bit too much, but I just wanted to suggest to the committee that in my view, the coverage request is really not that large. I think it is minor and these days appropriate too, because garages are being used for some storage in addition to parking vehicles. I think that if issues do arise, neighbors have the opportunity to call the building department to different types of uses are going on in garages that they feel are not permitted. So they have that opportunity to go to building, housekeeping, and express their concern, and it can be done confidentially too, I understand.
That sounded an awful lot like rationale and preamble to a motion, Mr.
Mr.
Gilbert.
Chair, if I can just make one comment, I just appreciate the comments made, or also to address the letters that were of objection that were filed, that really we're addressing different issues here, and the neighbors need to either address through the buildings department, property standards, or the fire department if they feel that there are violations of the fire code. It's not our role, it's not our place to deal with those issues. All we can do is either approve or disapprove of the size of the garage. I mean, the neighbor can build a garage as of right without even coming to us if it were somewhat smaller. So the size of the garage, I don't think, is really what's at issue here. It's the use, and I think as Dominic indicated earlier, there's other ways to address that. But what's before us is whether or not the garage should be made larger. And I would echo my fellow panel members' comments that storage space is at a premium these days. That's why everyone's seeing all these storage units going up and being constructed everywhere. So if you can get it on your own property, bonus.
Okay, anything else, panel? Can we then go into committee for a decision?
Yeah, I mean, since I'm already speaking, I'm happy to move a motion to approve without any conditions. I believe the application is minor in nature and meets the 4 test.
Chair, I'm going to second that.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, that application has been approved unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all and I appreciate it.
Okay. So we can proceed to item 4, 14 Hatfield Crescent. Purpose of this application is to construct a new garden suite in the rear yard. There is one variance for the distance between the ancillary building and the main residential building. The zoning bylaw requires 5 meters. The proposal is for that separation distance to be 3.929 meters. I don't believe we have any online speakers,
No, Mr. Chair, no registered speakers online or in the chambers.
but the agent is available.
The agent is available and unmuted.
Okay, and is there anyone in the hearing room that came to speak about 14 Hatfield Crescent? No? Okay, we have a planning condition. We have urban forestry condition 5, which is to refuse, and then an alternate option for their condition number 2. Mr. Galbraith?
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, you can speak if you wish. I think this is pretty straightforward. I would ask minimally, have you read and are you okay with the planning department condition of approval?
Yes, we're glad to see that the conditions or the revisions that we made in discussions with them have satisfied any concerns, and the condition from planning is fine, and we're also fine with the standard forestry condition to apply for a permit.
Okay, for a private tree.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, panel, any questions or comments for Mr. Galbraith? No? Okay, then let's go into committee for a decision.
Mr. Chair, on the basis of the submissions made by the planning department, the urban forestry department, the applicant's comments to us this morning, I move to approve this matter subject to the conditions of urban forestry, the conditions of the planning department, and I move to approve.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Popovic. Is there a seconder for Ms. Popovic's motion?
I'll second. I'm just clarifying that it's urban forestry condition 2 that we're imposing.
Okay. Is that okay with you, Ms. Popovic? Yeah, okay. All in favor? That application is approved unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, item 5 was deferred.
Well, it wasn't yet. Oh, it's 8 we're waiting on, okay.
And we still don't have the agent for item 8, so instead of, I'm going to propose that instead of going back after every hearing, or every item, we can just wait till the end.
Wait till the end of the morning session?
Correct.
And then dispense with it regardless of her participation?
That's up to you, but at minimum, we'll wait, because going back after every item is a little bit disruptive.
But you're prodding her.
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
No.
Just when we get to 8, let's just deal with 8.
Okay, we'll just park it. Item 6, 66 Florence Crescent. Purpose is to construct a new detached garage in the rear yard. 2 variances, one for rear yard setback and one for roof eaves encroachment. Is there anyone in the hearing room that came to speak about 66 Florence Crescent? No? And there's no one online? Paul? No one online?
Just the speaker.
Yeah, Mr. Joe Dome, yeah. Okay. Okay, we have a Metrolinx advisory. We have 7 letters of support from neighbors. We have no other agency comments. Panel, may I surmise that this is a straightforward application? We don't need a presentation. Mr. Dome, are you okay with not making a presentation because your application is quite straightforward and we have I can't imagine you have any information that would be of value to us beyond what we're looking at. But if I'm wrong, feel free to speak. Otherwise, we'll just proceed with any questions if we have any.
Well, I would just like to highlight that
Sure.
The proposed garage setback is consistent with most of the rear detached garages fronting onto Esposito Crescent. In fact, there are 9 rear detached garages from number 62 to number 40 Florence Crescent to the north, and 6 of those are actually larger 2-car garages.
Okay, thank you. Panel, any questions for Mr. Dome? No? Okay, then let's go into committee for a decision.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I propose a motion, to approve this matter. I believe it meets the 4 tests, and I note in particular 7 non-objection letters from neighbors.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Popovic.
And no conditions that
That is correct.
from
yeah.
departments.
Yep. Thank you, Ms. Popovic. Is there a seconder for Ms. Popovic's motion?
Sure, I'll second that motion.
Mr. Komorek, thank you. All in favor? That is approved unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Dome.
Thank you very much.
Okay, moving on to item number 7, 2451 St. Clair Avenue West. The purpose of this application is to construct a 6-story mixed-use building that will consist of 10 residential units and retail on the ground floor. We have 4 variances. We have 4 conditions that have been requested by community planning, 3 conditions that have been requested by transportation services, and a Metrolinx advisory. I think due to the scale of this proposal, And I do note that the applicant does have a presentation, so perhaps we can hear that presentation.
Yeah. Are you able to? I understand. Okay.
Have you introduced yourself and given us your
Yes,
address?
of course, of course.
Go ahead.
Do you mind going?
Can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, sorry. It's just not the first slide. Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Thank you for taking the time to review our application. My name is Nama Blonder, and I'm here to present the rationale behind the requested minor variances for the proposed 6-story mixed-use development at 2451 St. Clair Avenue West. The rental development will feature 10 family-sized residential units and retail at grade. Yes. Yes, that's perfect. We can stay here for a little while. So first of all, the proposed building is the result of collaborative process with city staff, and I would like to take a moment to thank them for their efforts and work in collaboration with us, and we're here with their support today. It aligns with the city's vision for mixed-use areas, contributing to the activation at the public realm through retail at grade. I also want to say that the owner fully accepts the conditions set by the city, including those requiring rail noise, vibration, impact, and air quality studies due to the site proximity or somewhat proximity to the railway. The owner also agrees to implement all necessary mitigation measures as recommended. We are requesting 4 variances today. You can scroll maybe as I speak. First one is the side setback. We are proposing a setback of 2.87 meters of a wall with windows instead of 5.5. This reduced setback is needed for an additional bedroom, the 3rd bedroom, to allow the large units our city is so desperately needed. The design provides adequate privacy in line with both the official plan and the avenues and mid-rise building studies. You can continue, please. You can scroll down. It's heavy, I'm sorry, I apologize for that. I'll just continue if that's okay. The floor space index, we're proposing an FSI of 3.7 instead of 2.5. This increased density will allow for family-sized units. The density fits within the general building envelope and aligns with the city's goals for intensification in mixed-use areas. Parking spaces, we're proposing 2 parking spaces instead of the required 12. The city has moved towards reducing parking minimums all across the city, especially in transit-oriented areas like this. The site is well served by public transit, and reducing parking aligns with the city's vision for sustainability and reduced traffic impact. I will also comment that transportation had no comments on parking. And lastly, the building height. You can continue. Yeah, maybe one more. You can see this here very clearly. Building height is the minimal change. We're proposing a height of 20.55, which is a 0.55 difference above the allowed 20 meters. This small increase in height allows for quality retail at grade and residential units with adequate floor-to-ceiling heights, enhancing the overall quality of the building. Each of these variances meets the 4 tests for minor variances. They align with the intent of the official plan and zoning bylaw. They are desirable for the appropriate development of the land, offering family-sized housing and active street-level retail. They are minor in nature, with no adverse impact on neighboring properties or the surrounding area. In conclusion, this development offers a thoughtful, balanced contribution to the local community with high-quality housing and retail that supports both sustainability and the city's long-term vision for growth. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you. I'll open it up to questions. I just wanted to clarify something with the Deputy Secretary Treasurer. This morning in our briefing, we were talking about the Transportation Services request for a road widening conveyance. And I'm wondering if we've determined that okay with that?
We have a
It
slide.
seems to be an extraordinary request here.
In my experience, we don't normally see those for minor variance applications. We haven't been able to get a hold of anybody, so it's up to the committee, but normally that's more applicable in a consent application versus a minor variance one.
Could I ask Ms. Blonder, did you say you were familiar with and okay with that road widening conveyance?
Yes, we have that as part of the design is already accommodating for that in our work with the city. That has been on the table from day one. That was never an issue.
Okay.
And may I ask to also unmute Misha just in case Misha would like to answer any technical questions as well?
So Misha won't be able to like interject. If the committee wants to hear from Misha, they'll call on Misha.
Okay, so just for the road widening, we're showing it on the drawings. It was never an issue.
Okay. Panel, any questions for Ms. Blonder? Yeah,
two.
Mr. Kumar.
So when you're presenting your GFI numbers, you're including that dedication for the road widening.
That was after the road widening.
Okay, so if you weren't doing that, your GFA numbers wouldn't be as
Lower.
would be lower. Okay, just wanted to clarify that.
Yes.
And then with the parking spaces, you're proposing 2 parking spaces. Are they going to be for the commercial or for the residential use, or is it a split?
For the residential, I believe. Residential.
So you're not providing any parking for the commercial use?
No, and this is a small, it will be a moms and pops kind of a retail.
Understood.
No,
I just,
yeah.
just a
no,
question. Okay.
No, not, or maybe we haven't decided that yet, but.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Sure, just a couple of comments. First of all, I want to commend you on a very, very informative and beautifully presented
Thank you.
document. It's clear in terms of a panel like ours, who may not necessarily be architects or engineers, to be able to look at something like that and understand it. In your conversations then with planning, transportation services must have been involved in some ways in order for you to have shown the road dedication and not including it in your calculations, that part of it, of what you're dedicating.
Right, so we assume that our site is just after the road widening,
Okay.
and this is what we worked with from day one.
And typically, I concur with the Secretary Treasurer that usually we ask for for road allowance dedications on severances. In this case, you must have been advised by planning and or transportation services that a widening was required, and you've incorporated that widening.
Absolutely, we knew
Thank you.
that. It was always part of the process, and as you can see from the letter from planning, it's
Yes.
just a list of conditions that we have agreed. The
And
client
you're
has agreed
fine with all the planning conditions.
Absolutely, as I stated here for the record as well.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Bonner. If you could just keep yourself available. We do have at least one speaker.
I understand.
Now, Mr. Chair, because you asked the question, using their site statistics of their lot area, it doesn't add up. So their GFA that's shown, I believe, is based on the total lot area.
Can we let the other speakers speak? I will contact my team and make sure we have a proper answer for that.
Okay.
Or can we address, can you ask to address Misha in this question and we'll be able to, or we can do like the first thing, if you're okay with that.
Mr.
I will get a hold of my team and make sure that we are.
Okay, but you do need to listen to Mr. Veronese.
Okay, I will do it by text. I will just, I'm sure he's listening, so.
So should we just pause for a few minutes, or do you want to listen to Mr. Veronese?
Maybe you'd like to listen to Mr. Veronese?
Yes, of course.
She can make her calls to whoever she wishes.
So you're going to make the call?
I'm gonna sit here and listen.
Okay.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, we do, so NAMA had advised that there was another member of their team that was on the line available virtually. I told them that there's no guarantee that they would be able to speak.
What's the nature of, you gave us a pretty comprehensive presentation. What's the value of an additional?
Just because I want to make sure, to best of my knowledge, we calculated the site after the road widening.
But
So-
I'm telling you, I looked at the site statistics, I've done the calculations, and it does not exclude
So
that area.
I that's why I'm saying I don't know how to reply to this comment, and I would like to take the time to make sure that there was no error in good faith. So, but we took the site from day one with the road widening. It was always on the table and was never an issue. So,
So Chair, I believe this is crucial, and that's why I was asking the question if the calculations were after the dedication. So can we stand it down so that they can maybe find out, and then the speaker will be able to speak a little bit more informed, as we would be informed also.
Okay, then how about we move on to the next item and then come back?
okay.
So you'll have 5, 6, 7 minutes. Does that sound reasonable?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, through you, sir.
Introduce yourself, please.
My name is Sam Tassoni. I'm just a friend of the owner next door, and we're prepared to speak now. If they're not prepared, I don't think we need to wait.
I think we need to determine the accuracy of the variances requested, because if they're not accurate, there's going to be a deferral in all likelihood.
Okay.
We're not going to be considering the merits. So if we could just hold back on that.
Cool. No worries.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Let's wait and get this all important information about the accuracy of the variances.
If anything, the variance will be lesser rather than greater. Oh, because, I got it.
Just, can we consider just addressing that specific question to her expert who's on the phone to respond to the specific question that you're asking?
Sure.
With respect to the GFA.
Yeah, if he's helpful in it.
I'm gonna unmute them and see if they have an answer to that question only.
Okay.
So there was an error, and it was calculated before, and the FSI that we're asking is 4.1. I apologize for that. That was really in good faith on my side, and I apologize. Is there a way that we will continue with the same variances, but the FSI is a 4.1 instead of the number that we had in the presentation?
So the committee cannot increase the variance without giving proper notice. So the option is for the committee whether they impose that condition for the dedication or not. Because should you choose to approve it, obviously you have to listen to the neighbors first, but the committee cannot increase the number.
So you're saying the actual GFA you're requesting is 4.1?
Correct.
The numbers before the committee are correct
Yes.
if there is no dedication.
Right.
Chair, may I ask a question? In your discussions with planning, transportation was involved. Transportation services requested a road dedication. Did they request a road dedication?
A road widening, and it was part of, as I said, we assume the site from day one that it's after the road dedication, so the road widening. So it was, I'm even now, I guess I'm a little bit shocked because it was never an issue, and it was, we always accounted for that. The longer process that we had was also more so about the noise and vibration. Road widening was never a concern. We just took it into account. So I truly apologize, but I really hope that we won't need to come here again for this change.
Is there any value in having your colleague confirm the accuracy?
Is listening and is yes.
Kind of a
He
fundamental item.
confirmed that the numbers are correct. My answer.
It's a 1,311.1 meter squared building, but it's no longer 3.7 times the area of the lot.
It's
because the area of the lot
4.1.
Would be reduced by the road widening.
Correct.
Okay, so I guess we need to hear from your colleague to confirm that yes, the actual GFA requested is 4.1 times the area. And then I think if the answer to that is yes, we have no alternative but to defer this, as explained by the Deputy Secretary Treasurer.
Can I just comment on that? Like in the in the information, the package, there is like transportation has it as the road widening as a condition. So I think that if you apply it as a condition, her application is actually correct, because if you approve the application as is and approve the transportation condition, that addresses it. And I believe that does that address it still doesn't address it. Okay.
No, so if the condition is imposed, they will have to dedicate before they get a building permit, at which point their site will be deficient.
Madam DST, is there also a notice issue if that's the case? Because as it reads now, yeah, it's 3.7.
So if that condition for dedication is not imposed, there is no notice issue, because it's based on the total lot area pre any kind of dedication. Then they would have to reapply.
So if we didn't impose the road widening as a condition, what mechanism would be available to transportation services to secure it?
I don't know, because
Probably none.
yeah, but normally, that's why I don't normally see them in a minor variance situation.
Okay, can we get a quick confirmation on the accuracy of this requested variance?
Yeah, I'm gonna unmute Misha now, unless Sophia, sorry to interject. Did you have?
Yeah, I'm just noting too that the transportation recommends deferral, and given the complication of this case too, I think that's probably a good idea. Unfortunately, despite the work that the applicant has put into it, that their October 17th transportation memo does suggest a deferral of this.
So I've unmuted
I'm online.
Misha. Hi, Misha.
Hi, yes, I'm online. Yes, I can confirm, unfortunately, that we did make the calculation of the gross site before the conveyance.
Okay, thank you. So, based on everything we've been discussing, then, would you be agreeable to a deferral to correct the notice?
I just want to say one thing about the transportation report, that I think you are looking on one before, because the deferral was about another item that we addressed with them, and then they sent another report that had no concerns. And my request would be, since the building is designed to accommodate, so there's no question, it will be just an unfortunate to come here today and walk away like this. The building that we're designing with all the setbacks and everything that will be approved as a result of this minor variance application will have the road widening in fact, right? So we are the envelope, the setbacks, everything that we are approving here today will show and indicate the road widening. So I'm just asking that if this is indeed the case, and we are willing to agree here on the record that the road widening is included as part of our design, if you're willing to consider continuing the application or the discussion.
I don't think we have the ability to do that.
Mm-hmm. Although the road widening is a condition.
3.7 because of the road widening.
Right.
Anyway. So can we hear from the gentleman that came to the podium and well, no, I want to ask him if he's okay with the deferral. And Mr. Veronese as well.
So it's actually a slight change. You have Paul on your list, but it's actually Mario Veronese.
Yeah, Mr. Veronese.
and there's someone else here to speak that may or may not speak.
Okay, so we're no longer dealing with the merits of this application. The question for us is, are you agreeable with deferring this so that the notice can be corrected, recirculated, and it'll have to come back?
Yes, sir.
That you're okay with that?
It only makes
Sorry,
sense
we
to do
need
that.
your name and address.
Mario Veronesi, 2449 St. Clair Avenue West.
Are you related to Paul?
I'm his brother.
Okay. Okay, so what's going on?
Yes, my name is Joanne Marinelli, and I'm here on behalf of my mother.
Sorry, can you bring
Carmela.
your mic down a little bit? Perfect.
Yes, my name is Joanne Marinelli, and this is on behalf of my mother, Carmela Marinelli, and I
What is
totally...
her address?
328 Riding Avenue. That's her address, and I totally disagree with this plot here. It seems like
Okay,
very
ma'am,
small.
Ma'am, we're not dealing with the merits of this application. We're considering whether you're agreeable or not to deferring this to a later date after the notice has been corrected.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to be making a decision on yes or no on this proposal today. So are you okay with a deferral?
Yes,
And then perhaps you can come back at a later date and speak to your concerns.
Sure, okay.
Okay? So you're okay with that? Alrighty. So do we need to hear from anyone else on whether or not they're agreeable to a deferral? Anyone else in this room? Anyone online? Okay, let's go into committee for a motion then.
Yeah, I'll move a motion to defer so that the variances can be corrected.
Is there a seconder for Mr. Kumar's motion?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Ms. Ruddick. All in favor? Okay, unanimously approved to defer.
Madam Secretary Treasurer, does it make sense to reach out to transportation in the interim to see if this is just for our own information, whether...
Yep, we can do that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, we do have the owner for the deferral requested item 8 on the line. I was able to get a hold of them.
Why don't we dispense with that and then consider maybe a break? Can we do that? Yeah. Hopefully this won't take long. So we do have Marianne Bardalos.
Mr. Chair, are we deferred? Yes, we can leave?
Yep.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your help.
That's too bad. So Ms. Vardalos is online?
Correct. And
Yes, I am.
Hello? Yes, ma'am. Could you just give us
Hello?
your... Hello? Could you just identify
Yes.
yourself by name and address and tell us why you wish to request deferral of this item today?
Okay, my name is Marianne Bardalis. The property in question is my home, 11 BIRCHVIEW Boulevard. And I'm here today requesting a deferral. My agent, Ben McFadden, the architect, is also online because of the accuracy of our request until we have a new zone review. And so we're asking for a deferral.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone in the room that came to speak about 11 BIRCHVIEW Boulevard? No? No one online?
Not in the room, but online, Ben McFadden.
Sorry?
Not in the room, but on the line, on the phone, is Ben McFadden. He is my architect.
Okay, I think we've got sufficient rationale from you, ma'am, on the reasons for the deferral. We don't need any technical support. if that's okay.
Okay. Yes.
No one online. Okay, so let's move into committee for a decision on the request to defer.
Chair, I'm going to move that the application be deferred at the request of the applicant, but to do further consultations with planning, not just that identify the variances, but also consult with planning in view of the fact that the report recommends refusal.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Yes, good point.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ms. Ruddock. All in favor? Okay, that item has been deferred unanimously. So how about, would a 13-minute break be sufficient, or 18? That's 13. Okay. We will recess until 11 a.m.
Yep. Well,
And we will resume with item number 9, 15 Mitcham Drive.
so while we're on break, I'm just going to take advantage of the opportunity to sound check a couple of participants that have joined late. So the user by the name of PK, participant with the initials PK, can you hear me?
You okay? Oh. Yeah, you have to get ahead of the pain. I love that you're patting yourself on the back. These are what I have. Well, I'm just saying, that's what I have to be back.
to the podium and talk to them.
Hey, how are you?
Listen, I have one question for you. When did you purchase this property? That sounds about right. So, yeah, that's all I needed to know. There's a request for deferral from the engineering department, and they're talking about some minor items in here, like they want to see which, not going to be serious. We'll see what happens, okay? Well, we're requesting a variance, a couple of parking spaces, I suppose will be 3.2, and they're on the side of the driveway, and they're only 3 meters, so he wants to know which ones. I say, look at the side of the stairs. It's not really serious to talk about, but we'll see. In worst case, it's gonna get the first. But I'll call you right after.
Yeah, otherwise it's not worth it.
I know, it's just some people. I don't understand why. Yeah, well, for us.
Except for he embraced the viewer when he played the other, he wasn't as prominent as.
Oh no, he was a bench player.
Yeah, he moved around. He wasn't prominent.
That's why he was
Still some people like those two guys, like Insigne and Bernadette, were one in a row. Bernadette won a number of Insigne left here early, but like those guys, they came here, they're looking good. I thought Messi wasn't going to get in, which like I really don't care about, but I feel bad that people like.
Yeah, this is fans came in
Everything is the last game before international break, nothing to prove. It was pretty cool. I was worried, but legit voices in the air.
No, it's fair to that.
I was seeing a couple of
Plus the league is higher. What order is Messi with Messi?
Yeah, but it's not what you want to see.
Over the years, I've seen so many different things. Sometimes it's not even funny. I was watching the best I had was I think
nights ago when they were playing Columbus, and there's a guy like just behind the bench where you're doing
it was a snowstorm,
Well, you do that very much.
And I was the only one. They show up. And I was.
That's when you said the tickets that were my favorite game.
So they gave me a little.
And then I would look to see like all the brands on
it's always
wearing like
fun when you all by yourself. You get a whole bunch of people listening.
I'm very like traditional.
But I've seen some scary stuff.
Like I wouldn't wear a jersey.
It's a player that used to be on the team.
I feel like a player that
I've seen it in Vaughan when
like a player that's on the team, like you wear the team now jersey. Yeah, that's like I'll give that a pass, but that's my one.
He is physical.
Yeah. Like a Del Piero, you like
police showed up.
That doesn't speak.
It was somehow
yeah. All of the UK jerseys. I saw a couple like land jerseys too. I'm on the land side. Yeah, it's die hard.
I'm actually happy that you know you guys doing
this is the forum for
this virtual stuff that happens
good, yeah.
over the internet quite often is very confusing and difficult to talk.
No, that's good.
Personal question. For sure.
I agree. Can you give me that?
Sure. Do you know when the decision?
So I don't know specifically, but you'll get a public hearing notice, like the same way you got one for this hearing. You got one for the next hearing. I think this one. Oh, this is your long one. Okay, so she'll get another notice, and it'll have all the details of the next hearing.
So you really don't need this, right?
Did she get a notice this time?
Yeah.
Okay, so she'll get a notice. No, we don't.
Oh. No one needs extra paper.
If you want, I can take it just to make double sure. Here, I'll just take it just out of an abundance of caution. I'll take it, we'll add it into our system, and unless you want to.
Oh, she'll get it. Yeah, I'll follow up on it.
Okay, and you can always go on the application information center.
I'll keep this for myself.
Okay, so if you go on the back of the notice, there's a link for our application information center. So you can check it periodically. All like new updated correspondence for the application will be all over. No worries.
Voting mic, Paul, voting mic.
Oh, you want the camera too? Full package? There you go. All right. So 15 Mitcham Drive, purpose is to construct a new dwelling with an attached garage. We have a revised application for 4 variances. There were 5, but number 3 has been deleted. We have a planning condition. We have urban forestry conditions 1 and 2. We have no other agency comments. We do have an area resident that wishes to participate. Zerka Hayes.
Yeah, it will be Zerka or Michael, same address.
Okay, well, we'll get there, but they're available. And the agent is Adam Pignataro?
So the agent will actually be Michael Perger.
Oh.
Who is on the
online
line?
or here?
He's on the line.
He's online. Michael Berger.
Perger.
Okay. Okay, Michael?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. Pretty straightforward application, but we do have an interested party that wishes to speak, so perhaps you could take a couple of minutes and justify your application.
Yeah, so based on our original application, the planning department had gotten a hold of us and gave us a list of other applications and comparables. So then based on their recommendations, their main concern was the length. So we reduced the length of the dwelling based on their recommendations, which in doing so also reduced the coverage. And yeah, and then it seemed like we got planning's blessing now for making the adjustments that they would like to see to make it more conducive to the neighborhood and what's being approved.
Okay, thank you. Now, planning has requested that the building be constructed per the drawings dated October 8th regarding dwelling length and dwelling depth. Would the October 8th drawings capture the new revised length and depth?
Yes.
Okay, so they're 18.3 meters on those drawings.
That's correct.
Okay. Panel,
Yes.
any other questions for the agent? No.
Just to clarify for the members, on the revision page, the floor space index should not be 66.5 times or the revised 60.4 times, because that would be a huge building. It should be 0.6 times.
Right. Does that necessitate a deferral because the information isn't accurate, or?
No, it's significantly lower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so in our motion, we will adjust your FSI from 60.4 to 0.604. That be okay, sir?
Yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we have a Mr. or a Mrs. Hayes online.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna unmute. I did sound check Peter. I think it's Peter Matulovich, but I'm not sure if Peter or Zerka will be speaking.
Well, we're both here. Can you hear us?
Yes. Peter, as I mentioned during the sound
Okay.
check, only one of you will be able to speak.
Well, I guess I'll talk.
Sure.
Is that- Yeah, we don't have any huge
Sorry, could you
concerns
just
except that
repeat?
we-
Sorry, could you repeat your name and give us your address, please?
Yeah, Peter Matulovich, 11 Mitcham Drive. We're immediately next door to the proposed expansion of this home.
There's no 13. I get it. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I got it.
They used to do that. They used to do that back then.
Yeah.
And we talked to the owner of the property. He was nice enough to drop by, and he sort of explained what was going on. Our concerns, which he seems to have helped us with, is any structural risks posed to 11 Mitcham that might be a result of this. But, I guess they're doing this in all the other homes in the neighborhood, and that's not an issue, apparently. I don't know. Also, we have a driveway that is split, or that is a double driveway, meaning it's continuous asphalt, and that's going to be removed and cut back. And I raised a concern with David that would be, a clean line, and he seemed to be very agreeable to working with us and making sure it was properly done. And we also had a risk that once the home was expanded, we wouldn't be able to, and if there were a wall or something built right there at the edge of his property, that we wouldn't even be able to open the door of our car through most of the length of the driveway. And David seemed to be open to this, and open to our concerns on that as well. And that's basically it. David seems like a good guy, and I wish him luck. And we raised our concerns, and they seem to be satisfied. I'll ask my wife, Zirka. Only one can speak. I'm sorry. So you don't have anything.
No,
Yep.
fine.
She's fine. Okay.
Okay, hey, great, thank you. Panel, any questions for the gentleman? No. Is there anyone else in the room that came to speak about 15 Mitcham Drive? No? Anyone else online? Okay. Okay, if we can call the agent back just to address what he heard from the neighbor.
Yeah, so the owner had informed me about his discussion with the neighbors. So I understand what they're saying. So right now, it's not a shared driveway, but on each person's property, there is about 10 feet of driveway. So I think their concern is they're maybe going to feel a little bit tight now on their driveway, now that it's not 20 feet of joined driveway. So yeah, my client understood that. And, as far as like saying we're going to build a fence down their property line, he's more than willing to work with them and not do that. So if they're parked there and their doors want to swing over the property line a little bit to make it comfortable for them to get out of the car, he's more willing to work with them so they don't have any concerns getting in and out. Or even, if there's a fence or something there, even plowing the driveway makes it difficult when you're shoveling. So he understands their concern and is more than willing to be a good neighbor and work with them to make it as comfortable as possible.
Okay, terrific. Any other questions, panel, comments? Okay, then why don't we go into committee for a decision?
Chair, I prefer to move approval of this revised application. The applicant has made substantive changes to the application, which really ameliorates it to the point that indeed it's a minor application. Individually and collectively, each of the variances are appropriate. They're minor, and I think fitting into the community. Move approval subject to the condition from planning with respect to site plan, which was relayed in a memorandum dated October the 16th, and also urban forestry conditions number 1 and 2.
Thank you, Mr. Gully. Is there a seconder for Mr. Gully's motion? Mr.
Sure, I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Kamark. All in favor? That application is approved unanimously. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 10. 82 Laurel Avenue. The application is to construct a garden suite in the rear yard. There are 2 variances. Pretty straightforward. However, we do have the next door neighbor who wishes to speak. The agent is Brett Liver.
Yeah, the agent's Brett Liver. Brett is on the line. We have Yajin Shi, who is the owner of 82 Laurel, who will not be speaking, but on the other side of the page, like if you flip the page, there's a Myron Bonk from 77.
Ah, okay.
Who will be speaking.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and unmute
So two speakers, but let's listen to Mr. Liver. Mr. Liver, are you available? Brett?
Brett, I'm going to mute and unmute you. Please don't mute and unmute yourself.
Yeah. Sure, thank you. Yes. Good morning, committee. Thank you for hearing this application. Just wanted to clarify something. It's not to construct. It's an existing building, an existing permitted structure, and the new owner would like to use it as a rental unit or at the moment. But it is an existing structure. There was no new construction done here other than
I noticed there was an order to comply.
There's an order to comply,
Yeah.
Yes, the purpose should be to legalize and to maintain the existing garden suite in the rear yard.
Yeah. Was licensed as an Airbnb by the previous owner, and he wasn't aware that this was going to be an issue. And then when given to sold to this new owner, this came up, this order to comply. They were sort of caught blindsided. They didn't realize that was an issue. So now we're dealing with it at this point.
Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, is there a problem with the notice in that the purpose is actually not to construct? It's
So
to
we would
maintain?
just fix it to state to legalize and to maintain the existing garden suite in the rear yard.
It should say that.
Yes.
Because right now, it perhaps gives the impression that a second one is to be constructed.
Oh, okay. No, it's the one that's there.
So
The site plan would reflect just the one.
would this be classified as an automatic deferral due to incorrect
No.
notice? No?
The site plan shows just the one garden suite.
Okay. So any questions for the agent before we proceed? No? We're good? Okay, let's hear from Yajun Shi.
So Yajin is the owner of 82. So
Yeah.
they won't be speaking.
Oh, okay. We've heard from her agent.
So I'm going to go to Myron.
Yeah. Myron Bonk.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Myron Bonk. I reside at 77 Laurel. Brett, I do want to thank you very much for highlighting the inaccuracy of the variance. Yes, the building does exist. As the neighbor, I'm just wondering building permits. Was the building built properly? What is involved in the current infrastructure on the street? These types of questions should be addressed, because we may be approving a building that has not been inspected during the building process.
Well,
Brett, over to you.
We don't deal with permitting issues. We deal with planning issues.
Okay.
Well,
thank you for the planning. I understand and respect that. But what assurances do we have as neighbors that it was built properly, and for future occupiers if it is supposed to be an Airbnb?
Oh, and there is a separate parallel process governed by the building department on building permit compliance. So we're not abrogating any responsibilities in that area. We're just saying it's not us that weighs in and considers construction-related matters.
The order to comply, if I can sort of clarify, requires the applicant to apply for a building permit, which will then deal with the Ontario Building Code issues. But they have to first get our approval because it requires variances. So once we approve it, then they go for building permit, which will then confirm that or not confirm whether things were done according to building code, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. At this point, I'm good.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for the gentleman? Okay, Mr. Liver, do you have anything to say to the gentleman in rebuttal or affirmation?
Yeah, I would just like to say the original building was permitted with the original building permit. So the construction of the building was permitted and was inspected and passed all inspections with no issues. So the existing building has been done with a building permit. It's just the change of use. It was used for personal use, and now they want to change it to more of an Airbnb type use. So that's really the only difference. So yes, during the building permit process, they'll look at plumbing, they'll look at that sort of thing. Otherwise, structurally, it's already been passed, if you will.
Okay, so I'm a little confused now, because why then do you have an order to comply?
Because of the change of use.
But the order to comply specifically instructs you to obtain a building permit.
The building permit was obtained in 2012 with the original building, the original house itself. When the new house was built, that building permit was done at the same time. So it's the change of use. That's why they're asking for a building permit, because we have to now go and submit new drawings of the interiors so that the building department
Right,
can
so
come
you will have to undergo the building permit process again.
Yes, for the interior portions, but I'm just letting the neighbor know that the original building is structurally sound. It was permitted. Now it's just the interior parts have changed.
Okay, I just didn't want a contradiction on record from what I just said before you said that. Do you know what I'm getting at? Because you just said we've got a building permit. I'm saying you got to get a building permit.
Yeah, it's just an unusual circumstance. Like I said, the original building was permitted in 2012.
Okay, but an additional building permit is going to be required.
Absolutely, for the interior works.
Okay, that's all I wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good.
Any other questions? Let's go into committee then for a decision.
I'm happy to move this approval of this application. I was also stunned by the I think it's a beautifully designed garden suite, and I know that you didn't build it, they bought it, but it's nice to see an actual functional garden suite. Sometimes it's garden homes, so I'm happy to recommend approval of this this application.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Reddick. Is there a second for Ms. Reddick's motion?
I'll second that, Chair.
Thanks, Mr. Gully. All in favor? That application is approved unanimously. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much for your time.
A little late out of the gate, but Madam DST, is there an issue with the legalize and maintain wording?
We'll fix that for the minutes and the decision.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to item 11. Well, before we do this, could I ask the two gentlemen here what items they're here for, so I don't have to keep asking the question? 15? 17, thank you. I'm just going to take a note of that. Just allow me to jot that down. Okay. So, 47 Hilldowntreee Road, purpose is to construct a new shed in the rear yard. This matter was approved or dealt with by this committee just a couple of years ago for the construction of the main building. And this variance for the new shed requires an increase in coverage from the 34% that was approved in 03 to 36.8%. Do we have anyone online that wishes to speak to this item, Adam? No. Okay. Eddie Perez is the agent.
Hello.
Panel.
Good afternoon. Good morning, Chairman and committee members.
Sorry, Eddie, just a second.
My name's Eddie Perez. I'm at 537 Rogers Road.
Can you just, hello, sir, can you pause for a moment while I address the panel, and then I'll get back to you?
Oh, sorry, I thought you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Do we agree, panel, that this is a very straightforward matter and does not require a presentation? Okay. Mr. Perez, we don't need a presentation. You can feel free to tell us something that isn't clear from your single variance, but if you're agreeable, could we just leave it that you address any questions if we have any?
Yes, I'm agreeable. Thank you.
Okay, let's do that then. So any questions for Mr. Perez? Then let's go into committee for a decision.
Mr. Chair, I find this application to be very minor and meeting the 4 tests. I'd like to move approval with no conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Komorek. Is there a seconder for Mr. Komorek?
I'll second that, Mr.
Ms.
Chair.
Popovic, thank you very much. All in favor? That application is approved unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Perez.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Okay, the next item is 2278 Lawrence Avenue West. Purpose of the application is to construct a second story above the existing dwelling, a 2-story rear addition, and a new rear deck. A previous Committee of Adjustment decision approved variances relating to floor space index and side yard setbacks. There are 3 variances. We have urban forestry condition 2. We have no other agency comments or conditions. Again, can we treat this as simple and straightforward and proceed to questions if we have any, as opposed to listening to a presentation? Are we all okay with that? Alrighty. Mr. Saeed?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. This is Sham Saeed.
Yeah, are you okay in lieu of a presentation to just answer any questions that we have? This is a pretty straightforward matter.
Yes, I am agreeable to that.
Okay, let's do that then. So panel, any questions or comments for Mr. Saeed? None? And there's no one in the room for it. Anyone online? Okay, let's go into committee then for a decision.
Mr. Chair, I will bring a motion for approval. I believe this matter meets the 4 tests. I believe there is an urban forestry condition to be imposed, and that's the only condition I see.
Thank you, Ms. Popovic. A seconder for Ms. Popovic's motion?
Second.
Mr. Gully, thank you very much. All in favor? That application is approved unanimously. Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, point of clarification before we move on to item 13. The agent is not the homeowner, Michael Masara. It's actually Roy Chan, who we have on the line.
So the agent is somebody else other than Michael Masara?
Correct. It's Roy Chan.
Roy Chang?
Chan.
Chan.
They're on the line.
Okay. Sorry, I just got to catch up with some notes here. So, 7 West Royal Road. Purpose is to construct a new 1-story addition above the existing dwelling. There are 5 variances. We have no neighbor comments. We have no agency comments. Again, I would suggest that we treat this as straightforward and without a need for a presentation. Okay, so can we ask the agent, sir, are you online?
Yes, my name is Roy Chan. I'm the agent representative for the owner from 0 Degree Studio.
And your address?
I'm agreeable. Yeah. And my address is 175 Riviera, Unit 2, Markham, Ontario.
Okay, the panel sees this as a very clear, simple, straightforward application, not requiring a presentation from you. Are you agreeable with that? Perhaps reserving an opportunity if we have any questions?
Yes, I'm agreeable.
Okay, then let's do that. So panel, any questions for Mr.
I do have a couple of questions.
Yep, sure. Mr. Komorek.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just first off, variance number 4, that pertains to a rear platform. To me, that looks like it's at grade. I'm trying to understand, or at the off the first floor. I'm trying to understand why that's a variance. Was it the height?
The reason is the basement is actually where the garage level is at the street, and the backyard.
Okay.
backyard, the main
Yeah, I
floor
got it. I
is
got it. So
actually at
the
grade.
basement is being considered as first floor.
That's correct.
Okay. So then my second question is, there's also a platform at the front. Is that platform less than 4 square meters?
Yes, that is existing.
Okay, but the
That
platform,
platform is, yeah,
but it is less than 4 square meters in size?
yes, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kumar. Panel, any other questions? Okay, then let's go into committee for a decision.
So Chairman, I will speak on this one. I had some concerns with respect to variance number 4 and the incorporation of such a platform. But having seen the location of it and the fact that it does not overlook or create any issues with respect to oversight, I'm prepared to go along with that. As far as items, variances 1, 2, and 3, and 5 are concerned, they are minor. Given that, I'm going to move approval of the application with no conditions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gully. Is there a seconder for Mr. Gully's motion?
I will second that, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Popovic, thank you. All in favor? That application is approved unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
We can now move on to item 14, 25 Cronin Drive. Purpose of the application is to, I guess it should say, construct a new 1-story addition above the existing dwelling and a new 2-story rear and south side addition. There are 4 variances. We have Urban Forestry, who initially had requested refusal, but in a supplementary memo said that they would be agreeable to imposing their condition 1 regarding a city-owned tree. We have a support petition. Again, I will ask for the panel's indulgence to classify this as a simple, straightforward application, not requiring a presentation. Thank you.
We do have a registered speaker in addition to the applicant.
Ah, yes. Okay. I still think we can dispense with a presentation and if, in rebuttal, the agent, if I could just, Mr. Sandhu? Mr. Sandhu?
I'm having a hard time muting and unmuting them. It doesn't seem to be working. Raman, if you can just maybe exit the meeting and return. I'm having a difficult time muting and unmuting you.
So he needs to hear from Robin Whalen.
Yeah. Can I maybe suggest potentially moving to the next item, or do you want to give Raman a couple of minutes to get sorted?
Well, yeah, let's give him 30 seconds.
Okay. Raman, if you can hear me, if you can just exit the meeting and return using the link provided yesterday. We're unable to mute and unmute you at this point, so we'll need to be able to have that functionality to move forward.
Okay, let's move on then, and Adam, you can keep us posted on his availability.
Wait. Raman?
Hello?
Oh, Raman?
Yeah, we can hear you. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, hello. The panel feels this is a pretty straightforward matter. However, we do need to hear from, and you do, need to hear from the owner of 20 Cronin Drive, Robin Whalen. So would you be agreeable just to moving into that phase, listening to Robin, and then you'll have a chance to rebut?
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question before we move?
Oh, sure. Yeah, go ahead. Ask a question.
Sorry, this pertains to the driveway width. I believe Forestry's concern is the widening of the driveway. And I believe your existing width is 3.67, is that correct?
One quick second, let me go to the plans. So the existing width 3.67, and if you see the altered floor site plan, we have altered to go around the tree. So now we are at its full width at the garage, and then it lessens when it goes around the tree. And at the curb cut, it's 3.67.
So at the curb cut, it'll be 367. So it's not much wider than the actual permitted.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so but you wouldn't be opposed to us tying you to site plan then with regards to the driveway width?
Yeah, we will be happy to be tied to the site plan.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, panel, any other questions or comments? No? Okay, then let's hear from Robin Whalen, 20 Cronin Drive. Robin, are you available?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, could you just
Hi,
repeat,
my name's Robin
your name
Whalen.
and address?
Yep, Robin Whalen, 20 Cronin Drive.
Okay, and
So
tell
more,
us.
I more have a question. The notification I received in the mail said that the driveway had a width of 4.75 and the maximum permitted was 3.2. So it was more a question that doesn't seem like a minor variance, but now I'm hearing that it's going to be 3.6. And then the other question was, it says that the maximum permitted gross floor area, it said plus 25%, but the plan had plus 40%. So the home just seems very, very large on that lot. And the lot beside it just had 2 duplexes approved, and we're on a blind corner. Those 2 houses are on a corner. There's a lot of kids on the street. So I'm just concerned as to the increase in the size of the floor area and the increase of the driveway, and the plan suggests a very large home beside 2 duplexes, which currently has, on a subdivided lot, which currently has 1 bungalow. So it was more a question of, there are going to be 3 significantly large homes where 2 bungalows reside on a blind corner, and where we have flooding every time there's a city flood. We have issues with flooding on our street. It just seems like a very large home. So it was more a question of what is considered a minor variance and what isn't.
Well, there's no hard and fast definition of what a minor variance is. If there was, they wouldn't need this committee because it would be just a numerical exercise. It's not just that. It's just determining the appropriateness of what's proposed vis-a-vis the neighborhood. You know, sometimes it's a variance of this extent, sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. It's up to us to listen to people like you, and we're going to hear from Mr. Sandhu on his answer to your question about the appropriateness of the size of the building and the driveway width issue. So unless you have anything else to say, we'll turn it over to Mr. Sandhu for an opportunity to rebut and answer your questions, if that's okay.
Yeah, and I guess my only question is a minor variance. The floor area looks like it's almost doubling. So almost doubling doesn't, to me, connote minor, but and the concern of this house beside 2 duplexes where currently a bungalow resides feels like it's going to be a very congested corner, and it poses a risk to kids playing on the street. So that's just
yep.
That's all I have to say.
Okay, stand by.
Sure, thank you.
Mr. Sandhu? Mr. Sandhu?
Yes, Mr.
Yeah, can you comment on,
yes, Mr.
On Robin's issues about the size of the house and the width of your proposed driveway?
So, as I stated earlier, the driveway width has been reduced to be almost similar to what the existing driveway is. Where the garage is, it widens, so the driveway it's almost gonna be the similar size what we have. And regarding the blind corner. So 25 Cronin is, so the blind corner is at 27 Cronin, not at 25 Cronin, because the street turns, and then we are the second house. Regarding the corner, because if you are coming from Cronin and you are thinking of the triangle of sight, we are on the other side of the triangle. So we won't be interfering with the line of sight for the kids playing or the vehicles who are turning from the Cronin to Friendly and then turning to Cronin again. And in the house, we are not proposing to do any front addition. We are doing the addition in the back, which is leading to more area, which in my opinion is not going to impact any traffic or children playing on the house, on the street. Regarding stormwater, the total footprint we are allowed, we are less than that in terms of the lot coverage. And the stormwater, I mean, in building permit phase, we are required to present them that grading plan. So that grading plan will be presented to them, and all the stormwater will be managed as per the City of Toronto guidelines.
Okay. Is that it? Are you finished?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Panel, any questions for Mr. Sander? No, we're good. Okay, then let's go into committee for a decision.
Okay, I'm just struggling a little bit with how to ensure that the driveway width is no wider than 3.67 at the curb cut and also as it passes the tree. I mean, I know we can tie to site plan, but that's, I guess that's probably really the only way we can do it.
Does it give any comfort the fact that urban forestry has a condition, and urban forestry will be protecting that tree to ensure that the driveway construction will not impact on it? That's what I'm basing my assessment on. Previous applications too, where a tree is within the public road allowance, they've allowed applicants to have a wider driveway within the property, but when it comes to coming around the tree, they've protected that area.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that with an urban forestry condition that could be addressed, and that would stick them to the fact that they'd have to follow that plan of reducing the driveway at that point.
So your recommendation would be just to impose forestry condition 1 rather than tying to site plan?
Yeah, and I'm surprised Transportation Services didn't make any comment on it, and I think probably because they weren't aware that there was a tree condition. So I think urban forestry would cover that. I don't
Would it
they'll
make
have a protective area for that tree.
Would it make sense to restrict the curb cut to the 3.67?
I'd rather leave it to the point where if urban forest, they have to negotiate with urban forestry on this.
Because it may be
Urban
actually less
forestry
than
will get involved with transportation, and transportation will probably dictate to them what kind of curb cut they would want. That's my sense on it.
Okay. Appreciate that. You certainly have the history on that, so I would appreciate that. Yeah, thank you.
That's right.
Okay, so based on that, I would move approval. I believe it meets the 4 tests, subject to forestry condition 1.
Okay. Is there a seconder for Mr. Kamorik's motion?
Chair, I will second that, and I just want to give assurance to the speaker who had concerns with respect to the size of the building. It's just a 2nd-story addition, and as far as side views are concerned, I know that this intersection is a little bit odd, but it's a safe intersection, and sight lines are guaranteed to be good. Now, whether or not the drivers are good, that's something else, but I believe that the geometrics allow for this type of intersection. So, second, with that condition.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Okay, that application is approved unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to item 15, 5255 Steeles Avenue West. We have an interested party in the room.
That's actually the agent, Mr. Chair.
Sadiqa.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Wes.
Oh, you're the agent.
Yes.
Okay, so we need to ask you something up front here. Transportation Services has requested deferral to allow time for you to submit acceptable documentation to address variances 2, 3, and 4. What's your response to that?
Well, variance number 2 talks about clarifications where those 2 parking spaces are. So if you look at the site plan application to the Committee of Adjustment, they're identified on the drawings where they are. So my response is just look at the drawing, they're there. Site plan also must be revised to label and illustrate the parking spaces. So again, the same site plan, you can look at the site plan, and the parking spaces are identified on the drawings, and as long as you look at the site plan, they're there. And there is also a request for showing the swept path for the vehicles maneuvering on the site. So we've purchased the archived drawings from the city, and the building was built 50 years ago. We used the same site plan and all the data that was there. And normally what happens is if you have older building, you cannot meet the zoning criteria for what happens right now in the city. So 50 years ago, nobody changed anything on it. So we used the old data and tried to have existing non-conforming legally building become one that we can apply for permit, because that has to be legal. So also what happened was, so showing the swept path on the property is not going to do any good to anybody, because the parking spaces are always the same. In the meantime, since 50 years ago, cars got smaller by about 2 feet and narrower, and so it's easier than 50 years ago, but still. So I don't think that it's going to be to benefit of the project or anybody else to actually defer this application. The intent of the project itself is to make the building more appealing on the streets, and we provided drawings that show how the building looks right now versus what we propose. There's 2 loading spaces facing the street, so we're getting rid of those. And back then, 50 years ago, you would be able to go on Steeles, turn back and into the loading space. Everything was legal, but 50 years ago, times were different. Right now, those loading spaces are not allowed through zoning reviews and so on, through bylaws. So we're trying to improve the property. At the same time, what happens is this application, it's through PPR, through Committee of Adjustment, it's already 4 months. So if we defer the application again even farther, then it's not really beneficial to the project. That's I'll be glad to answer any other questions that you guys may have, but I would like this application to proceed without any conditions. Those conditions, like, you can look at the drawings, they're there.
So transportation's saying they'd like to see swept path diagrams, but you're saying cars have been coming in and out of this lot for 50 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other questions for Mr. Sadiqa?
Yeah. Have you given any consideration to making the aisles one-way so that you don't have to deal with that variance?
We thought about it, but see, what happens is if we do that, we got to get rid of 2 parking spaces, right? So having said that, if you...
Why would you have to get rid of 2 parking spaces?
Because there's 2 parking spaces on the end of that paved area to the west.
So making it one way, why do you have to get rid of them? I'm confused.
Yeah, I can make it one way. It doesn't really make much difference. My client owns the building next door, so he circulates on the site and uses both buildings. And this building is intended for storage of parts, his archive storage, and primarily for storage without any public access from outside and so on. So it's a convenience building. Once we get to a point where site has to be redeveloped, then all those items obviously come to play. But right now, we're just trying to make the building better looking.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make a suggestion to reduce your variances.
This is not going to do anything, because if we put one-way driveway on the east side, this is not going to address anything. Like right now, what happens is...
The minimum required width of a two-way parking aisle leading to a parallel parking space is 6 meters. What's the minimum width for a one-way?
He's talking about 6 meters between the parking space and the property line in the southeast corner. We have that 6 meters. If you look at the drawing, there is 6 meters in front of it, of that parking space. Again, like, you got to look at the drawing.
Well, maybe you could help me through on that drawing.
Well, 6 meters is shown, but the width of the driveway on the south side, where you have 3 parallel parking spaces, is not there, because the distance between the building and the property line is 26 feet. So obviously you cannot have two, like the width of the driveway cannot be 6 meters, basically, because there's not enough space.
One of the widths of the driveways is 3 meters. I'm trying to orient myself here. What's north? Okay, so that's north. So on the...
Steeles is north.
Okay, so on the east side, you have 3 meters, but that's considered a one-way driveway, is it not?
It's just paved area, because the parking space in front of the building shows access to the site, and the driveway itself is blocked. And then on the south side, there's 3 parallel parking spaces against the building, plus 1, and that's 3 meters.
You would have to eliminate 1 in order to make the turn.
That's right.
Right.
And that's, with today's standards of engineering department, that may stipulate parking study and additional few $1,000s for that, and additional, 3-4 months looking at it and commenting on it and so on.
Okay, no, I get it now. I thought you were actually using that as a driveway, but what you're telling me is you're not. That essentially...
Not on this plan, because like I said, the owner owns, my client owns the building next door.
Because at the entrance of Steeles Avenue,
Yes.
on the east side, you have an in and out arrow.
That's right.
Okay, so there's a curb cut there, but you're not using that area as a driveway.
That's right. Just for that one parking space, and at the same time, it's all existing, so...
I'm not arguing whether it's existing or
Okay,
not.
okay.
I'm just trying to understand your
Sure.
proposal.
So at that east front wall, there is 1 parking space. So he is using that in and out driveway to access that 1 parking space at the front of the building.
Got it. Okay. So we essentially have 1 driveway on the west side, which is a 2-way driveway, and
That's right.
there's no such thing as a driveway on the east side. That was my confusion.
That's right.
Okay.
It's just paved area, that's all.
Okay, thanks.
Other than that, planning department says everything is okay and so on. There is a piece of information that my office provided wrong as a typo. The acquisition of the subject property, October 30th, 2024, is 4 days ago, which the typo is supposed to be 2014. And that's we did multiple design schemes on property, and this is the latest one that my client decided to proceed with construction of, and that stipulated first the PPR, then the Committee of Adjustment, and if that gets approved, we can go for a permit for those filling up the loading spaces, basically, because this is the building looks ugly right now. With all due respect for everybody, right?
Any other questions for Mr. Sudika? Comments?
Chair, I just had a couple of comments. I can see that Luigi was very diligent in his work in terms of, and his staff, in terms of identifying each of the spaces and how you would get in and out of it. And of course, you know, there are engineering standards for these, but then you have to apply some judgment to it. In some cases, when you look at this plan, the majority of the spaces, 19 spaces, are 6 meters in length, and they're serviced by a 6-meter wide drive. No question, if you're a generally good driver, you should be able to negotiate, go in and out of those spaces with that 12 meters. So I think the majority of the spaces, the 19 spaces, are fine. As far as the other spaces are concerned, going back and trying to do a maneuvering diagram for each of the spaces on such a small site and for such small units, as such a small number of parking spaces, I think is a little onerous to ask the applicant to do that. So, and I do respect Luigi, like, I mean, he's very diligent, his staff is really diligent, and they're trying to justify these spaces that don't have that accessibility of that 6 meters, but they're still operationally functional. So I believe the plan that the applicant has submitted is good. It's a good planning plan. It's a good transportation plan. And in this case, the conditions that are being posed may be a bit onerous.
I would agree with that assessment. So why don't we we'll go into committee. I guess we're started in committee anyway, but any more discussion? Or can we consider a motion for a decision?
Since we're in committee now, I just say that I don't think this application requires or merits a deferral. I think there are, as I said, the majority of the spaces, the 19 spaces, are functional technically. The others are operationally functional. Yeah, you may have to do 2 or 3 maneuvers to get out of them if and when you need them, but I think it's generally a good plan. It doesn't it does not merit a deferral. And I think the panel should consider some of the conditions that transportation staff have made as being excellent comments, but for each and every parking spot on a variance may not necessarily have that much weight in my view.
Yep. So, sorry, was there a motion there?
Chair, I'm going to move that the application be approved. I know that there are some issues that Transportation Services has with a few of the parking spaces, but I think generally, majority, all the 19 spaces are operationally functional. I believe the variances that are being requested are appropriate. I'm going to move approval without the October 17 conditions of transportation.
Okay. Is there a seconder for Mr. Gully's motion?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Kamara. All in favor? Opposed? That application is approved by vote of 4-1. Thank you, Mr. Siddiqa.
Thank you all.
Okay, moving on to item number 16, 12 Paulson Drive Road. Purpose is to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage. There are 6 variances. Before we get into this, may I ask Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer, were we able to reach out and get some clarification from Transportation Services on their conflicting memos?
Yes, the correct one, which is the revised one, is the one that states that we advise we have no objections to the above noted application. So in your package, it's labeled as transportation. The original one is the one that was labeled as planning. So
Okay.
they no longer have a concern.
Okay, so we have a clearance from transportation, we have clearances from Ravine and Natural Features, TRCA, and we have urban forestry initially recommended refusal and offered their condition 1, a city-owned tree, as an alternative. Do we have any speakers online? Just the agent. Okay. Any benefit or need panel for a presentation? You're okay? Everybody okay without a presentation? Okay. Alicia Sepelsa, agent or owner? You're the owner.
Hi, yes. I'm both.
Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
Sorry, you're breaking up. Can you do something with your microphone?
Is this any better?
Yeah, give us your name and address, please.
Not sure if you. Alessia Salsa, 12 Paulson Road. I am both agent and owner.
Okay. The panel sees your application as being quite straightforward, and we don't really require a presentation. Would you be okay with just leaving it to answer any questions if we have any?
Yes, absolutely. If I could, I know that urban forestry, though, did recommend denial of a variance, but then also offered condition number 1, where we submit an application to injure or remove a tree. If the panel members are okay with that, we are happy to accept that as well.
Okay. So panel, any questions for Ms. Sepelsa? Comments? None? Okay, then let's go into committee for a decision.
Mr. Chair, I would like to move to approve this matter. I believe it meets the 4 tests, and I make note of urban forestry condition number 1, I believe, but no other department has requested a condition.
Right. So move for approval with urban forestry condition 1.
Yes.
Yep. Is there a seconder for?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Kumar. All in favor? That's approved unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Sepelsa.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Okay. So our last item on the morning agenda is number 17, and I know we have. Are you Mr. Palumbo?
Yes.
Okay, so you're the agent.
Correct.
Yeah. Do we? So there's nobody else in the room. No one online? Okay, so this is 123 Martin Grove Road to construct a new 1-story front and rear addition. We have 8 variances. We have urban forestry condition 2, and we have community planning recommending either refusal or approval with a condition. So maybe you can just tell us which community planning condition you prefer.
Fair enough. Good. Read the morning or the afternoon? Either way. Good day, Mr. Chairman, members of the Committee of Adjustment staff. My name is Andrew Palumbo of Ian Hall Planning Limited. I am the agent for 123 Martin Grove. I will spend my 5-minute presentation focused on the 3 variances that were basically brought up with as an issue in the city planning staff report to focus the presentation on the matters at hand with respect to front yard setback reduction, building length, and building depth increases. So I'll start with the front yard setback reduction. I think it's important to note that this only applies to the northern portion of the proposed dwelling, and it's necessary to provide now for a renovated garage space. This is figure 3 in my planning justification letter. So on this basis, this reduction doesn't apply to the entire frontage of the property and the entire front main wall. It's just the added renovated section with respect to the new garage, as I just mentioned. It replaces a single car garage that was on this site. And on this basis, again, despite the numerical deviation, which may appear a little bit high on the surface, it's my opinion, and this is an appropriate reduction, given that it allows for an efficient front yard extension to the existing dwelling. It doesn't have any adverse impacts on the streetscape, and the front yard character is still generally maintained despite this slight bump out now that'll be associated with the renovated garage on the northern portion of the proposed dwelling, with minimal impact to no impact on the pedestrian realm. Secondly, with respect to the proposed development, the building length and building depth increases, obviously, again, there's probably some sticker shock, and although the numerical deviation is always a starting point, as we heard earlier, even in this very hearing from Mr. Chairman himself, it's always a matter of just taking the number as the starting point, but then carefully examining what that number actually means on the ground and how that translates to in terms of like actual adverse impacts on the neighborhood when you look at it in further detail. So it's my opinion overall that the proposed building length and depth are appropriate and minor, again, from an adverse impact standpoint for the following key reasons. Firstly, one thing I should mention off the bat, rather than undertaking a second-story top-up of the existing bungalow dwelling, the proposal contemplates deploying this GFA, the additional GFA, in a manner that extends the ground floor to the rear. The reason, and this is more on a human level, the reason this addition wasn't pursued as a top-up was because the owners who intend to live in the proposed dwelling do intend to have elderly parents live with them, and therefore limiting the addition to just the ground floor, it will eliminate the use of stairs to access a second story. So keeping the main living space on one level, just the sensitive design of aging in place in mind, and that's the reason why, again, this appears as large as it does. It just tries to make efficient use of just the ground floor and to avoid the use of stairs for elderly that will eventually be living there. Again, despite the large numerical deviation from the bylaw standard, as I've noted, the resulting additional ground floor GFA does not trigger any corresponding variances relative to maximum FSI, rear yard setback reduction, or landscape open space, which suggests that this proposed rear addition is appropriate for the lot in which it's located, while still providing for sufficient backyard and outdoor amenity space. Although there is a 1.5% increase in maximum lot coverage, that is one of the variances, it is my opinion that this is a minor and insignificant resulting variance that is quite telling of the proposed rear addition. Again, despite the large numerical deviation for building length and building depth. This is one of those variances, again, I've said this many times before this committee, when you examine the cause and effect relationship of one variance against the others, that truly determines what kind of impact it will have on the ground once and if and when constructed. As per, just a few more key points here, and then I'll hand it over to the committee to make a decision. As per the elevation drawings prepared for the proposed development, the design intent here provides no new windows in association with the extended portions of the dwelling on the south side of it, and a thinner window that's located along the north building wall. And again, this controls privacy and overlook issues to the adjacent rear yards. Again, this demonstrates also just sensitive, thoughtful design to the adjacent neighbors. And again, because it's a ground floor extension, it's a back of house variance that's not perceived from the streetscape. And because it's at the ground level, it just doesn't have the same impact as if it were a second story addition of the same magnitude. I mean, that's not before this committee today, obviously, but just trying to give context as to a ground floor extension as opposed to what would be the impact for overlook or privacy if it were a two-story extension. And the last point I would like to make is that I have been advised by the owners, and obviously based on the attendance today relative to this proposal, they have received...
So you got about 9 seconds to wrap.
They've received verbal approval from the adjacent neighbors that they have no issues with the proposed building length. And those neighbors are the most impacted neighbors for sure, because they are directly adjacent to the extended building. So overall, it is my opinion that the proposal meets the 4 tests for the reasons I've just outlined. It should be approved by this committee. Thank you very much for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Plumbo. Yeah, any questions or comments for Mr. Plumbo, panel? And we have no one online, Adam, that wishes to speak to this matter?
That's correct, Mr. Chair. No one online.
Okay, good. Alrighty then. I guess we can proceed to into committee for a decision then.
Chairman, I prefer to speak on this side.
Okay, Mr.
I have reviewed the application. I think the representative agent hit on the salient points, the points regarding length, points regarding depth, the issue of privacy, etc. I think also the applicant is prepared to accept the condition of planning, I believe, with respect to the site plan. And I believe this is a good project. It's a good planning project. There's reason why it was kept to one floor. Good justification for that. I'm going to move approval subject to urban forestry condition number 2 and the planning condition of October the 24th relating to the fact that it's tied to the site plan on file dated September 12, 2024.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gully. Is there a seconder for Mr. Gully's motion?
Mr. Chair, I will second that, noting, echoing the comments of my colleague, and also the desirability of an aging in place protocol, which ties into the one level and not a higher level for this project.
Thank you, Ms. Popovic. So we have a motion that's been seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Oh, we're all in favor? Unanimously approved. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
You too. So that's the end of the morning session. Would staff appreciate a 1:30 start? You like at least an hour, don't you? So we okay with that? We'll reconvene at 1:30 p.m. with the afternoon session. All right. Thanks for your help, everybody. Don't forget to turn your camera off.